Now, the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has told members of Parliament that he's not prepared to walk away from his mandate. It was hours after the Scottish leader of the Labour Party, Anna Sauer, asked him to quit his office. Rejecting the idea of resigning, Prime Minister Starmer told the Labour Party's lawmakers during a private meeting that in every fight he has been into, he won. His Director of Communications, Tim Allen, resigned hours ago, just a day after the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, also quit. He took full responsibility for advising Prime Minister Starmer to appoint Peter Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the US. Peter Mandelson is a prominent Labour politician and cabinet minister who was forced to step down from his role as ambassador in September 2025. He came under intense scrutiny regarding his relationship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and he resigned from the Labour Party under the heat. For an analysis of this development, former mayoral candidate and CEO of the Peace Alliance, Nims Obunge, joins me from the United Kingdom. Good to have you join us, Mr. Obunge.
Great to be with you, Pamela. How are you doing?
Very well, but it looks like things are not well in the UK. Starmer is already the UK's 6th Prime Minister in 10 years. David Cameron stepped down, like you know, in July 2016 and followed by Theresa May. We've seen Boris Johnson, we've seen Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. Before Starmer took the job in July 2024, I mean, is the UK about to lose another Prime Minister?
Well, I should hope not. I think that we don't need further instability in our nation. We know that the situation that we're going through is quite significant. I must say that, like has been stated by the Prime Minister and by the King himself, we've got to keep our eyes on the issues at hand. One of the key issues that's brought us into this situation is a very sad situation of victims of Epstein, who young ladies that never should have gone through what they went through. And that we have a situation where Mandelson is culpable to some extent, not in relation to anything he did with those young ladies, because there's nothing to point to that. But his relationship with Epstein has provided great cause for the Prime Minister to say he totally did not know that. Many who have related to Mandelson have actually rejected the position that he adopted. I know that Mandelson has resigned from the Labour Party, he's resigned from the House of Lords, and he should have done so rightly. I know that the King has said that he's ready to support in whatever way he sees necessary. And I think Keir Starmer should stay focused on his job. His job is to improve the economy of the United Kingdom. We don't need another Prime Minister dropping out in another race for the office in number 10. We just need to stay focused, hopefully, in this nation. I neither support Labour nor Conservatives, or either I'm apolitical, but I'm keen that this nation does not go into turmoil again.
Well, people are comparing the Prime Minister to Boris Johnson in 2022 and the kind of scandal, calamity and pressure that he faced. Does Prime Minister Starmer have any political capital or goodwill left?
Well, let's put it this way. His cabinet, starting from David Lammy to all the members of cabinet, have given a resounding support last night about their backing of him. He had a meeting with all his Labour peers, Labour colleagues in the House, and they had a meeting yesterday night, and they came out, including the deputy leader, who clearly stated that they are fully in support. And I gather they had 2 or 3 standing ovations for him in those meetings. So let's recognize that he does have the support. Unfortunately, Boris Johnson did not have that level of support, and so he had to leave at that point in time. But what we have here is strong support for the mandate that Labour has given to the nation. And it's important, much as we know that the Scottish leader took a position yesterday, but I think you find that the majority of Labour leaders are in support of Keir Starmer, and we've got to continue to encourage that position. We cannot, I don't think we need another election. In spite of the political play out and the media play out suggesting it. I don't think that that's what the nation's calling for at this point.
But let's just look at what Boris Johnson said in 2022 while he was going through, all the pressure. He explained that the politicians who had once, loyally supported him had then turned against him. And I just want to paraphrase or say exactly what he said, quote him rather. He said the herd instinct is powerful, and when the herd moves, it moves. Does it look like once again that political herd is moving, and how long can Prime Minister Prime Minister Starmer hang on?
You see, you raise a point that Winston Churchill once alluded to, which was basically warning that don't get caught up with the applause you get. And I suppose in Christianity, those who say Hosanna, Hosanna can say crucify him tomorrow. So you're raising a very significant point. But as it stands to date, we know that there is an unrest, without a doubt, within the broad spectrum of the political landscape. But all these political actors will need to wait. I know that there's going to be a clear investigation as to all that the Prime Minister knew in relation to the appointment of Mandelson. Now, when all that comes out, it might be that this would put him in a position that's untenable. But one should hope that he has been truthful to Parliament, has been truthful to the nation, and genuinely, when he says he didn't know all that he knows now, that should be on the record as being the truth of the Prime Minister. As and when the papers and the documents come out in public, we might get to find out that he genuinely meant that, or it was a lie. And if it was a lie, he's certainly out of the office.
I know there is an election coming up in Scotland. I'm not sure about Wales anymore. But if the Labour Party doesn't do well in those elections, could that upend his premiership?
Well, you see, so again, I suppose that was why the Labour Party leader thought he needed to come out, because he didn't want SNP. He doesn't want SNP to be in government. And it's clear that what he wants is he wants to try and give Labour a chance over there. If Labour doesn't do well, that doesn't speak well to Keir Starmer. That puts his position again in some form of questionable positioning. Same thing would happen as to what happens in Wales. I was watching a documentary recently in Wales, where a lot of folks in Wales were expressing their disappointment with Labour. But that yet needs to be heard. The polls may kind of be suggesting that Reform might get a better place in Wales than Labour at this point in time, and may win more seats. But I suppose let's wait to see what happens. As one who ran for political office, I've learned not to rely on the polls. You've just got to do the work on the streets and see that you win the hearts and minds of the people.
I'm sure that you must be glad to have run as an independent with all of the challenges in the political parties in the UK. But the country seems really fed up with the endless dramas and resignations, scandals as well, of the last conservative government. How long does the Labour Party have to get its act together?
Well, I would put it to you this way. There will be many that say that the polls suggest that Keir Starmer is not the most loved, or should we say popular Prime Minister. But what Labour has to do, without a doubt, is they've got to improve the economy. They've got to focus on the crisis that we have as a nation in relation to whether it's the cost of living crisis and a whole raft of other things, improving numbers with the NHS and providing more jobs. But then when we look at the broad spectrum, we need to understand something that's so important here. Issues like Mandelson detract from what Labour may actually be doing, may actually detract from the positive news that we may have coming from the Labour Party. And that is the bane of politics. When something comes out that is more scandalous, guess what? The media pick up on it. I remember speaking to someone in the tabloid, a significant tabloid here in the UK, and he said, Nims, bad news sells well. And unfortunately, we don't publish all the great news that may be happening, whether it's in the UK or even in Nigeria. We don't publish good news. We're not really good at that because it seems as if with the bad news, everybody logs on and wants to hear what's the latest. So I would say Labour has to make sure that before the next election, they get all their good news out there, and they've got a lot of work to do on that.
Absolutely. With Nigel Farage and his party waiting in the wind, they are hoping to make it to number 10. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Former mayoral candidate and CEO of the Peace Alliance, Nims Obunge.
It's been a privilege.